This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
What is up, guys? Super excited for our guest today. I have a 19-year-old CEO. So I have a really young audience. A lot of you know that. And if you're my age, I'm 47. We're young at heart. But I have Jared Curry. He is with me. He's the founder and CEO of Scope 16 Marketing. And, you know, you look at 19-year-old CEOs and we look at Instagram and, you know, everybody's like sitting next to the Lamborghini, you know, and they're going to their real estate friend's house and going inside the house and doing a TikTok, pretending that there's something, you know, that they're really not. So whenever I look at somebody that's young and they throw the CEO title on there, you have to actually see if they have an actual business or not. And I was talking to Jared off air and he was like, I want to talk about financial empowerment and financial literacy. He said the schools don't teach that. And I think that's exciting. We're going to get into that. You're going to see the real deal here. Jared, how are you doing today?
I'm so blessed and so grateful, Jason, to be on here and to be able to hopefully provide some value to your audience. I'm doing great. Every day is a new challenge, a new experience, and just happy to be experiencing it.
Yeah, I want to get into, let's get into right off the bat, before we get into your story, let's get into Scope 16 Marketing. You know, this is another digital marketing company, and we look at, you know, I'm pretty sure all the business owners that are listening to this have been pitched about digital marketing companies. And then you have a 19-year-old that's running a digital marketing company. I'm really interested in your Blackhawk, but what distinguishes you from other digital marketing companies?
Great question, Jason. And I'll keep it really short and simple. We guarantee results, right? And we only work with e-com brands to get started, right? So if you're not an e-com brand, we just won't work with you because we know what we're good at. We're not a jack of all trades. We decided to be a master at one thing, and e-commerce is what we're good at. And we actually guarantee 120% or 1.2x return on ad spend. And if we can't hit that, we're going to give you a full refund plus $1,000 check for wasting your time. So we put our money where our mouth is. I actually own some e-com brands myself, so I practice what I preach. We run ads for our agency. We spend about $500 a day in ad spend for our own internal marketing. So we're telling you to put your money. We're doing the same thing for our own e-com brands, for our own agency. We have a team of over 12 full-time employees, unlike most other agencies who are most of the time it's just one person, the owner or the founder, and then maybe a VA. But we actually have a team of full-time team members. And we've serviced over 100 brands so far in our short time of being in business. So I think that's kind of what separates us.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's you're actually doing business, because there's a big difference between, like I said earlier, you know, putting that CEO title on your Instagram, you know, and then throwing snaps where you look like you're, you know, something special at the pool, you know, or popping bottles, but you're just doing the work. Like whenever you look at, and you had talked about this earlier, and I'm a firm believer of this, massive action. Like just how much work have you been doing to get this company going? And then, you know, you're seeing it being successful now, but in that beginning phases, how was it with the amount of action that you had to do?
So I was in school when I started this company, believe it or not. For everyone out there listening, you guys can do it. It's crazy. I was 16 years old. I just read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I bought this online course. I thought, hey, I make a few $1,000s while being in high school. Why not? And then I'll do whatever the heck I want after school. I'll go to college. I'll figure it out. You know, I thought I'd just, you know, do this as a freelancer. Started this agency when I was a junior, and 12 months later, we hit the 6-figure run rate, right? We were doing, you know, we thought it was big numbers back then, but we were doing above $8,333 a month. So the historical 6-figure run rate that a lot of online entrepreneurs try to chase after when they first get started. And, you know, the way we were able to do that was just by a lot of cold calling. Instead of dealing with Dr. Adonato in science class, I was going in the school bathroom cold call and cold calling businesses, trying to get appointments, trying to do free trials. For the first few months of my business, I did not take a single penny. We did not charge clients. We were doing free trials just to get testimonials, just to get case studies, and just to, you know, practice and become a master of our craft. So it was a lot of hard work. I didn't go to parties like other high schoolers. I stayed at home. I worked on my business. When I was in school, I worked on my business. Thank God we had MacBooks in school. And that's all I did. For 3 years, I was working on the business. Just recently, our business hit 100K a month in revenue. So the seven-figure run rate, the next level. And I've been so grateful. I've been able to bring on a COO and a CMO to kind of take care of the day-to-day operations and an ops manager. So I have a whole leadership team now. And because of all the fruits of the labor that I had to put in for the past 3 years of not being able to go out, not being able to, you know, hang out with my friends. I've lost so many friends throughout the course of this entire journey. Through all the hard work and sweat, I've finally been able to automate the company. So it's definitely been a process. It has not been an overnight success.
Yeah, I could imagine, and Gary Vee talked about that. I mean, he did the same thing whenever he was, working for his father in the wine shop. What are some of the things that you think that made you successful? I know hard work's one, but what are some of the things that you think that made you successful from 16 to 19, in that beginning phase?
That's a great question. And the biggest thing is education. Warren Buffett says it best. The best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. And when I started investing back into myself, whether it be reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad or watching YouTube videos on TEDx, going to Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con and buying the most expensive seats that I could afford so I can network with some, big players in the game. That's been one of the most important things was just education and educating myself because I knew school wasn't the way or the pathway to my education. Education is not schooling. Schooling is a system. Education is, it's a lifelong tool that you're going to need. It's a lifelong trait. Being a lifelong learner is so crucial to having success in business. So that's been the thing that has helped me out the most. The more education and the more I invest back into myself and coaching and things like that, the more money I make.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you mentioned Grant Cardone. I'm a huge fan. I've been a fan from him. I actually a long time ago worked at a car dealership, and so that's what he did in the beginning is the training. He did car dealership training. That's how he started out. So I had met him through that. Him and his wife. And, it's just amazing seeing his transformation and seeing, him go to a billionaire. What are some of the things that you think you've learned? Because I know you actually went to his conference. What are some of the things you think you've learned from Grant Cardone?
Yeah. So when Grant Cardone went on that stage at 10X GrowthCon and he said, go on Google Trends and look up my name. And as more and more people saw or knew about Grant and they knew about him, like genuinely knew about him on Instagram, on YouTube, on all his socials, he compared that to his net worth and his net worth went out of control. It went up. It was congruent with the amount of people that knew him and what Google Trends was showing. It was so interesting. And that's just, persistence beats resistance. It's a true reflection of that because he was, like I said, he was a drug dealer. I'm not a drug dealer. He was a drug addict. He was homeless. He was broke. But guess what? That persistence allowed him to get to the level where he is today. So that's the biggest golden nugget I've got from Grant Cardone, Uncle G.
Yeah, exactly. What are some other mentors? I mean, it's got to be, the amount of hustling and grinding that you were doing, from 16 to 19, was there other people was there podcasts that you listened to? Was there things what was motivating you to do school plus just this massive amount of work?
I didn't do school. I hated school. I hated it. I didn't do any of my homework. I paid people to give me their homework, and I failed. I probably got like a D in that chem class I was talking about earlier.
Right.
My senior year, oh my God, it was even worse, especially toward the end of the year when COVID hit and we were all at home. They had to call home. They called home and they said, if you don't pick up the work, you're not gonna graduate. You know what I did? I didn't do the work. I paid people. Because time is valuable. So I just paid people and I said, hey, get this done for me. I can't do it. And that's That's really what happened. But what was motivating me to do the other work? I'm on this earth for a reason, you know? And Gary Vee says it best. Gary Vee actually grew up in the same town I did. We went to the same
Oh, that's
school.
awesome.
Yeah. I've met him a few times. He's a great guy. And, you know, the biggest thing is you're on this earth for a reason. And the chances of you being alive right now are so slim. Why
Mhm.
waste it doing something you hate? When you're on your deathbed, are you going to say, I lived? Or are you going to have regrets upon regrets piling up and saying, I wish I could have done more? I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have wrote that book. I wish I would have started that business. I wish I would have asked that girl out. I don't want to have regrets.
Yes, that's so good. Was there people that you were listening to? I mean, besides Grant Cardone and Gary Vee, was there other people that, I mean, were you reading books? Were you listening to audio? What was keeping you motivated?
Robert Kiyosaki, he built the foundation for me. You know, besides my dad, Robert Kiyosaki was one of the most instrumental people in my lives because of what he taught me in that simple, easy to understand book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It changed me. And I knew that from a very young age, I had this knowingness. I can't explain it. It's this knowingness that, you know, I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to have a 9-to-5 job. I'm going to do something with my life that other people would only dream they could do. And I knew that from a very, very young age. So because of that, I knew I had to do something about that. So from 10 years old to probably 15 years old, I just knew I was going to do something special. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. So when I read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that was like the key to the treasure chest. And it said, I had the potential. I am capable of doing it. And that's told me, hey, I need to do this. There is a reason why I wasn't supposed to read that book. I hated reading books. I don't even, to this day, I don't even remember why I decided to read that book. To this day. And I read that book and that was a sign. I need to go all in.
No, I love that.
All in.
And so you just mentioned your dad. And I know that there's, you know, people my age that have children, you know, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They're like, this isn't my son. This isn't my daughter. What do you think? I mean, was it your dad that gave you this entrepreneurial spirit? You know, what do you think got you to that level where you're 10 years old and you're self-aware enough to say, this is what I want to do in my life?
My at a very young age, I mean, my dad owns businesses, and you know, since the age of 2, I was in those businesses. Every day, he was always working. So the way I could hang out with my dad was to go to work with him, and that's how we bonded. And there's 2 things that he always taught me, and still tells me. Never say the word can't. Never say the word can't. And never work for someone else.
I love that. Yes.
And because of the way that I guess some would say they indoctrinated me and my parents on how to perceive the world and, you know, how to defy conventional wisdom by getting a 9-to-5 job. I guess I should say my dad, not my parents, because my mom, she wanted me to go to school, but I digress. My dad did not want me to follow conventional wisdom to an extent. And because of that was what told me at the age of 10, hey, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to, you know, work for someone else. Because I wanted to be like him.
Yeah, I mean that's so cool because I think a lot of dads may, and I know you just helped a dad there. A lot of entrepreneurial dads may feel guilty, you know, and they think that they need to do, you know, those conventional things like, yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You can play ball with your kids. You can do this, you can do that, take them to concerts. But that ability to be able to see your dad work and you to be in that business and see that influence at a young age, I think that's missed. We used to have that. You know, we used to have where, you know, the whole family from a very young age would work. You know what I mean?
100%, and that's how my dad raised all of us. And it's simple. It's something I learned at a young age. If you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And that's what's missing in the youth of America today. They're entitled. And my generation, we feel like we go to school, we'll be taken care of in life because we're gonna have a pension and a 401k waiting for us when we retire, and they feel like that's the only way that you can live, but that's just not the truth.
Yeah, it's so sad. I heard a girl screaming the other day in the car, and she was yelling at her mom, and the window was kind of down, and she was yelling at her mom that she only had an iPhone 11.
Jesus.
And the new iPhone 12. And and you say entitlement, and I think your generation is amazing with technology, and I love the direction that you see these like you and there's other 20-year-olds CEOs that are out there that are doing amazing work, especially around technology and online, and I'm super excited about the direction globally where you guys are going. But that entitlement thing, that's something that you guys are going to have to work through as a generation.
It's going to be tough. I'm always curious to see how it affects us later on in life when our parents aren't here. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and getting everything given to you and everything. But that was my generation too. The generation before that was always the same thing, and so we had to work through it, become more self-aware. I want to get into something that you just mentioned, and I know you've done a lot of studying on this. Financial empowerment. You said if you don't work, you don't eat. What are some of the things that, especially as a younger generation, some of the things that you begin to open your eyes up to finances?
So before I even dive into that, I know, Jason, you were telling me there's a young audience here, and I just want to say this to everyone out there listening, young or old, right? I want to start off with a story. And there's this guy. He's walking down the street. He falls into a hole. The walls are so steep he can't get out. A doctor passes by, and the guy shouts up, "Hey, you! Can you help me out?" The doctor writes a prescription, throws it down the hole, and moves on. Then a priest comes along, and the guy shouts up, "Father, I'm down in the hole. Can you help me out?" The priest writes out a prayer, throws it down in the hole, and moves on. Then a friend walks by. "Hey, Joe, it's me. Can you help me out?" Friend jumps in the hole. Our guy says, "Are you stupid? Now we're both in the hole." The friend says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before, and I know the way out." For everyone out there listening, I know the way out. You do not have to go into the rat race. You do not have to work a 9-to-5 job. I don't care what your teachers are telling you. I am telling you that I was able to do it. And you can too. And I'm going to break down exactly the reason why I was able to do it. And number one, starts with education and focusing. Focus on your true education. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, they knew each other as a kid. And their father asked them, "Hey kids, what's the most important trait you think someone needs to be successful?" Without looking at each other, without talking to each other, they both wrote down the same thing, and that word was focus. Focus. And now they are both billionaires today. So interesting that they were friends at a young age. So fascinating. And now they're both billionaires today. So, with that being said, I need everyone to focus. Everyone that wants to do something with their life, everyone that wants to build generational wealth, I need you to focus right now. And focus on what I'm saying, because this is going to change the game for you. Education. Focus on your education. Schooling is not education, especially for the younger people out there right now. I want you to listen and remember, schooling is not education. Education is education. And you can go on YouTube University. It's free. It is more valuable than a degree from Harvard University.
Yes.
So valuable. And I learned most of what I know today from YouTube, from listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad radio show every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I used to go on YouTube and listen to that radio show. I used to listen to Grant Cardone. I used to listen to Dave Ramsey, even though I don't agree with most of what he says. I used to listen to all these people. And I used to educate myself on finances and Graham Stevens and these amazing, amazing people. And I used to hear what they kept saying. And, you know, there's patterns. Successful people speak in patterns. They say the same things. Don't work for money. Have money work for you. Well, how am I going to do that? Oh, that's simple. Use debt. There's good debt. There's bad debt. Use good debt. That's how you're going to become rich. Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, they're all saying the same thing. These real estate gurus, use debt. Oh, heck, I need to learn how to use debt. You know what I did? I went out at 17 years old and I got a credit card, not an authorized user on my parents' card. I got an actual credit card. And I'm going to tell all the young people out there right now, you need to start building your credit score. It's going to take you places in life in the next few years that you never thought it could take you if you use it the right way. There's a bank. And by the way, I'm not a financial advisor. Just telling you what I've done. And there's a bank out there, Young American Bank. I think they're in Colorado, I believe, Denver. I bank with them. I got a credit card with them for a whopping $200 limit. And
Right.
in that $200 credit limit that I still have to this day, built the foundation for me to have a 675, I believe, credits or 670 credit score at the age of 17. Not a great score whatsoever, but it allowed me to build a foundation. It allowed me to get another card. The next card was a TD Cash card. Next card after that was an Amex Gold card. And now I have tons of personal accounts. And then I also have business accounts that I'm starting to develop now because of credit. So that's number one. I want everyone out there to start focusing on their credit score and start building their credit. Next thing is just educate yourself. The only reason I know any of this information is because I went on YouTube. I bought courses. I hired coaches. I hired mentors. And I spent money and used my time wisely on educating myself instead of going on TikTok and watching girls dance. That's what I want everyone out there to start doing, is educate yourself. We're living in the information age. Use the time wisely. Don't waste it. And that's it.
I love that, Jared. And it's something that is like, it requires this word discipline. And when you look at somebody that is 15, 16, 17, they're like, how can they have discipline? What do you think was that discipline trait? Were you just always visionary and looking at what the future could hold? But what prevented you when you got that $200 card not to hop on Nike and buy some Jordans? You know what I mean?
That's a great question. And to be honest, I wish I could answer it. I believe sometimes it's inherently in us, in certain people. But to be honest, in the beginning, I lacked a lot of discipline. I lacked a lot of focus. And what did I start doing? I started forcing myself to develop it because I knew what Warren Buffett and Bill Gates said. If you want to be successful, you have to focus. So I deleted Instagram because that's dopamine. And that's the problem. A lot of kids are my age. There's so much dopamine in our lives. We have video games, we have TV, we have your phones, you have Snapchat, you have all of these things just feeding you dopamine left and right. So, you have to go on a dopamine cleanse and you have to get rid of social media. Get rid of Snapchat. Stop sending streaks for all the young people listening. Get rid of TikTok. I got rid of all of those sites. And keep in mind, I had a marketing agency. The only site I was on was Facebook, and I wasn't even on the front end. I was on the back end on the business manager.
Yes.
So you don't need any of these social media sites. For all those people that say, "Oh, but you can make so much money with it," yeah, guys, get off social media. It's killing you. If you're gonna use something, use YouTube and learn something from it. But that's the first thing. That's what I had to do, and I had to just force myself to start eating vegetables that had no seasoning on them. It's just little stuff like that. I had to force myself, mentally tell myself, hey, take a cold shower. It'll be good for you. I had to mentally tell myself to do stuff and train my mind to like the things that I didn't like, but I knew that were important. And when you can do that, you're going to develop that discipline.
No, I love that. It's doing those things. It's beginning to like the things that no one else likes. And you're so right about social media. It's the same thing. Like I only go on there, like you said, the back end. If I'm going to go to, if I'm going to go to Snapchat, I'm going to ads Snapchat. If I'm going to go to Facebook, I'm going to go to the ads, and I'm going to look at reports, and that's it. I hire somebody to post for me. I'm not going to take the time. I don't. I hate to be mean, but I don't care what Bill and Susan's doing, with their dog. I don't have time to look at that. Every minute of my day is me being productive. And what does that look like?
Yes.
Plus, I know on the spiritual side, I want to have a higher consciousness. So for me, having these dopamine hits constantly, you try to go on go on 45 minutes to an hour of your social media and get all jacked up, and then try to meditate for 2 minutes and see how that works for you. Or pray, or whatever you do. But we're just there. Or if you really want to do, I've done this before, I cut my phone off and gave it to somebody else and went 24 hours without a phone. And I had let certain people know, that I was doing that, the important business people in my life. But it was so interesting to see how constantly I was grabbing for it. Or where's it at? Like I needed this. I had to have this. I had an addiction to my phone. And these are all, like you said, YouTube, these are all tools that we can use to be able to, if they're used properly, to be able to, make your business. I mean, you're in the digital marketing space. That's what you do, So whenever, I want to get into that a little bit. Whenever you look at Scope 16 marketing, I know you saw it's like social media, duh, everybody's on it. But what were you looking at, what was the idea to start running ads for people?
I saw an ad myself on YouTube from the legendary Billy Wilson, who is a massive mentor to me, and I looked up to him like he was a superstar at the time. And funnily enough, I just spent the week in Mexico with him, just on vacation. So I saw one of his ads teaching people how to start a marketing agency, and I invested $700 in the program, $700 that I had to use other people's money for, aka my dad, and bought his course and learned how to start an agency. And I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do for the next few years in high school. Because I had just finished reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I wanted to start a business. I wanted to make money. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And I figured, hey, this is something that doesn't require that much capital. This is something that I can scale pretty efficiently and quickly. And let's see how it goes. And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, on your website, and I encourage everybody, and we're going to put the link in. If you're listening to this from the email, then you guys saw the link. If you're listening to this, because it popped up on your Spotify, it's in the notes. So you guys have to come down to the show notes and get the link. And if you want to talk to Jared or your team, whoever you have it, about social media, what are some of the things, and I know you have a funnel and all that, if I know you do e-commerce and e-commerce only, if someone owns an e-commerce brand, are you looking at somebody that's been into it for a few years already and maybe they're making, 100,000? What are kind of some of the criteria on working with an e-commerce brand?
Great question. For everyone out there listening, if you don't own an e-com brand, still fill out an application. Reason why is because we probably have some free resources that we can send you. It'll add you to our email list, and we always send out digital marketing stuff. So have fun with that stuff and get some value from it. But if you do own an e-com brand, we have our Blackhawk program, and that program is specifically for brands doing a certain revenue number, typically over $20,000 in revenue a month. They already have a lot of pixel data. They already have a customer list. They have a proven sales system in place already, and they just want to scale. That's our Blackhawk program. Now, we actually recently just launched our coaching program for e-com brands that are doing less revenue and are kind of just getting started, or they just don't have a lot of data. We have our coaching program to help you eventually get up to the level where you can join our Blackhawk program. So those are the two programs that we have. So kind of something to help everyone out, no matter what stage you're at with your business.
So Jared, whenever so this was probably something that you were seeing. Here you are, you're generating leads. Obviously you're good at the digital marketing side of things. So you're generating leads through, whether it be through Facebook or whatever it may be. And you're seeing all these people and your leads probably were people that were under 20 grand. Is that what started the coaching side of things?
100%. We had to pivot because, to be honest, like I was saying, we spend about $500 in ads a day. And if we're only closing 5 Blackhawks a month, that's a massive cost per acquisition. So we wanted to liquidate our ad spend and liquidate our cost per acquisition by offering the coaching program, to eventually get people, to be honest, to upsell them into our Blackhawk program, which is where we make our money, number one. And number two, it's a way to liquidate our ad spend. So that's kind of where the coaching program kind of sparked from.
I love that because, a lot of people don't understand how to be flexible like that. So you saw a need, you knew it wasn't in your specific niche, but you're like, okay, this I think we can do. We can offer this coaching program. So if somebody's listening, because I think this is important. So somebody has an e-commerce brand, and they're doing, $2 or $3 grand a month, and it's working, they're starting to, how would they go about on the coaching side of things? What would they be able, how could they do that?
So it's the same exact process. You go to our site, our funnel, you fill out an application, our team's going to reach out, and we're going to audit your entire store first and just see where you're at. After that, we'll introduce you to the coaching program. We'll get you started with that. And from that point, we have multiple coaching calls a week with actual people who own 7-figure e-com brands. Our own media buyers are in there. We have copywriting training. We do a ton of master classes because, to be honest, we're trying to provide so much value that you just can't fail, because we don't want you to fail. We want you to succeed so you can join our Blackhawk program. That's the only way we make money.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's so brilliant.
So we have to make sure you make money if we want to make money. So it's really a win-win for everyone. But that's essentially what the program entails, and that's kind of how you can learn more about it by just going to that site.
No, I love that. Now, whenever you look at the future and what Scope 16 is going to be about, and I know you're a visionary, what are you looking at? What are some of the things? And with COVID, I'm going to tap into your wisdom here because I believe you have a lot of wisdom. Even at, I don't think age matters when it comes to this. Your hard work, education, and discipline has created this. What are some of the things that you're looking at on the e-commerce brand side of things? Post, I don't want to say post COVID, but where we're coming out of it, everybody's getting vaccines and all that. What are you seeing e-commerce brands? What are they looking at, and what are you looking at going into with Scope 16 marketing?
Yeah. Well, Jason, can you elaborate a little bit more on the question in terms of their backend, like their data?
No, I meant like, as everybody, we know e-commerce, a lot of e-commerce brands, people are shopping online like crazy right now. So, we understand that, and people are doing more and more shopping. What I'm trying to understand is, what are you seeing with your clients as far as, and you don't have to get specific into like Instagram story ads or whatever, but what are you seeing specific that that your clients are doing or not doing that is because of COVID?
Got you. Okay. Well, number one, like you said, e-com brands are crushing it right now. CPMs were so low when the pandemic first hit. Brick and mortar stores were not advertising online. Even a lot of e-com brands weren't. So it was an amazing opportunity. We were seeing great ROAS. We took stores that were doing $1,000 a month to $20,000 a month in 60 days. That was during COVID. With COVID ending now, thank God, we're gonna see we're already seeing an increase in CPMs, especially pre-election time.
Right.
The CPM started hitting, and it was not fun, to be honest with you, because we just came off basically heaven. No one was advertising. There wasn't that much competition. It was great, and then CPM started increasing. And that leads all the other metrics to kind of go crazy, CTRs and stuff like that. So we are seeing more competition online. So what do I see going forward in the future? The biggest thing is content. By being at home, people are buying a lot more based off of content, based off of creative, right? And copy is also a big part of it. So right now our biggest focus is how do we increase our click-through rate? Because if we can increase our click-through rate, we're going to decrease our CPMs, which
Mm,
that's going to change so many factors for us. And for everyone out there who's listening and they don't know what I'm talking about, CPM is basically cost to reach 1,000 people. CTR is, how many people are clicking in comparison to how many people are actually viewing the ad, right? So we're focusing big time on just getting more user generated content, because being at home, a lot of people have now become used to TikTok. They've become used to lower quality ads, lower quality productions, more influencer based ads. It's been a big thing during the pandemic that we've seen. And a lot more ecom brands were noticing that. And the higher quality ads just were not cutting it, simply because they look like ads. People don't want to see ads anymore. They want to see another person on the other side of that screen.
I
So
love that. Yes.
because of that, I mean, our own agency, we're about to build a content studio, actually.
Wow, that's
Um,
so cool.
yeah, I'm really excited about that. And we're going to be doing a lot of things it's going to be a production studio, but at the same time, it's going to look like, hey, I just shot this on my phone. It's going to look so realistic. It's going to look authentic. People want to see authenticity. So that's one of the biggest things that we're seeing. And then last but not least is offers. More creativity in your offers. A lot of e-com brands are doing, buy one, get one, 50% off, 25% off. But no, it's time to become extremely creative. Hey, you buy this or you pay for shipping. We're not going to, you get this item for free. You just pay for shipping. And of course the item price is included in the shipping. So offers like that are going to be so crucial, because there's just so much competition. You have to differentiate yourself somehow. And by having crazy offers and amazing content, that's going to change the game for ecom brands and local businesses too. If you're a business owner, this applies to you as well. Content is so crucial.
I love that. You did something. You're doing something that we just did, and that is build a content studio. So we went all in and built. And you don't need a lot. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot, but for podcasting, we built a big, a bigger, nicer studio, and stepped up our content. So we use and people that don't understand this, Gary Vee, he released it. There's like an 80-page deck where he released his whole content generating machine. So we're posting anywhere from 70 to 90 times a day on different platforms, and kind of following that. And we've seen huge success on content and with content marketing. Are you guys, and I don't want to get too in the weeds of this, but are you guys just A/B testing a lot and then, going to create this content in-house and then offer that to your clients?
We're doing a lot of testing. Facebook just unleashed dynamic creative a few months ago. So because of that, we're able to test a lot more now, which is awesome. We're able to test multiple variations without depleting our budget too much. So just like you said, we're going to be creating the clients are going to sign up for the content edition, and we're going to be coming up with content ideas and developing that content and then implementing it and then testing what's working. And then in the long run, we're going to know what type of content works for this specific brand, and we're going to create more of that content.
No, I love that. So, as you see, you building this content studio for your brand, what else, and we're coming up on time here pretty soon. So what else are you looking as being a visionary? What else are you looking at doing, personally, to expand in the next 1 to 3 years? And what are you looking at for Scope 16 marketing?
So Scopes, right now our biggest focus for 2021 is to get the best results possible for our clients. Last year we had revenue goals. This year it's all about our clients. So we're diving deeper into doing email marketing, diving deeper into TikTok ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, because Facebook sucks. If you know anything about Facebook ads, ad accounts are getting disabled left and right. So we're trying to move on to other platforms and diversify a little bit more, and offer more services than the average agency. That's one of our goals and focuses for this year. And then myself personally, I, to be honest with you, the pandemic hit me hard, in terms of my routines and stuff like that. I lost some of that discipline, if I'm being frank. And I'm working on with my high performance coach on improving it and getting back on track. So that's kind of what my short term goals are right now. Making sure I'm reading, making sure I'm meditating, following my night routines and things like that. Um, so that's kind of going to be my biggest push. And after that, I mean, the agency's automated now. I actually don't. I'm not in the day to day operations anymore. So I am expanding into other businesses, kind of seeing what the next journey is going to be for me. So I'm kind of in an exploration mode at this time.
That's so awesome. Yeah, because I think, hearing you and understanding, I mean, we've only talked for just a little bit, but you have that expansion mode where it's like, okay, this is successful. We got this running. The systems are working because you have a systems mindset. And it's like, okay, what else can I do to expand? Is that something that you're constantly thinking about? Is like, what kind of, how, I mean, it's not just about revenue, but, is it because you want a challenge?
You know what? I think it's a challenge. And then I also think it's because I was told in high school, hey, you're going to be homeless by 25. Kids bet on me, bet on that,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I find it somewhat hilarious actually. But because of that, I want to prove them wrong. That's part of it. And then the other part is I just want to, be able to say in the next 5-10 years, wow, look at what I built. I am free. I don't have to work unless I don't want to work. And that's something that I've always wanted. That's what I've been chasing for so long. So it is always about expanding to me. Why not? Why not make a bigger impact? The more money I make, the more impact I can make. The more things I can do in my life.
Yeah, and so you're 19, so you're looking by the time you're 29 or 30 to have total freedom.
I want to retire by the time I'm 30.
What will you do then?
Probably start another business if I'm being honest. I just want to be able to say I did.
Gary Vee always talks about that it's the game, it's the whole thing for him. He wants to buy the jets, and so that's kind of been his thing. So for him, it's not about the money, it's not about any of that. It's just about that he just loves the game.
It's a fun game. I wouldn't want to play anything else.
Yeah, I love that. So, Jared, if somebody wants to, I know we're going to have the link, but maybe they're an e-commerce brand. Can you run through that again? So I want to make sure, I know if they want some digital marketing info, they can sign up. And of course, they'll be a part of your email letter and get that. But if they want to get involved in the coaching, or if they want to get involved, what do they need to be again? This will be my last question. What do they need to be again as an e-commerce brand for you guys to work with them?
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting process. Our senior advisors at our organization will meet with you. They'll audit your e-com brand. They'll decide if you're a good fit or not for either our Blackhawk program or our coaching program, right? If it's our Blackhawk program, then typically revenue starts at around 20,000, but it's not always based off of revenue. It's also based heavily on actually data. Do you have the data that we need? Do you have a pixel on your Facebook? On your website? How much event data do you have? Do you have 100 unique purchases in the last 28 days? How big is your customer list? So we're looking at all of that stuff. We're actually auditing your site because we just don't take on everyone. So that's what the Blackhawk, qualifications are. And then for coaching, we'll take on anyone who wants to get to the Blackhawk level. And all you need to do is go to the website that's down below and fill out an application, schedule time, and our team will take you through the process and take good care of you.
That's awesome, Jared. I really appreciate you being on the podcast today. I know you've given a lot of hope for maybe I feel like there's maybe some young people out there that have listened to this and maybe they've gotten discouraged, or they've had this dream of being an entrepreneur, and now they listen to you and they're like, he can do it, I can do this. How do I need to do this? So I just want to encourage people to listen to this again. If you're a young person, you need to listen to this again and then take these truths that have been applied and have been executed. That's the key. He's not just saying something. He actually did this. And, you can write these down, study these out, and you're educating yourself, like you said, Jared. So I just appreciate you coming on the show. You're a breath of fresh air for the young people that are out there that are entrepreneurial, and you give a lot of people hope. And for those that are out there that are in e-commerce, if you qualify, I encourage you to get a hold of Jared. Like I said, we'll have the link in the bottom. But thanks again, Jared.
Thank you so much, Jason, for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.